Hello, my name is Robin Miller, and I'm Senior Corporate and Tax Counsel for Pro Bono Partnership of Atlanta. I spoke with most of you during the nonprofit legal assessment prep call the other day. By now, you should have gone through your attorney-client meeting portion of the legal assessment. I really hope your meetings went well. So what's next? That's the purpose of this brief wrap-up webcast. For those new to Pro Bono Partnership of Atlanta, I want to take a few minutes to explain how we operate. We have 5 attorneys on staff, if you can see that. We divide up our clients amongst those 5 attorneys, and each client acts as outside general counsel to her clients. Each of you is already assigned to a PBPA attorney, and hopefully you know who that is. Once you are a client, you're always a client of Pro Bono Partnership of Atlanta, unless you grow so large that you can afford to pay for legal services, or you're extremely non-responsive to our volunteer attorneys. And I raise this today because the legal assessment is really just a snapshot in time. So if you have a new issue that arises next week, you should just feel free to reach out to that PBPA attorney that is your outside general counsel. You're not limited to just the matters that were raised today in our meeting today. So know that this is just a snapshot in time, and we're going to identify and address those issues, but we're here as a resource to you moving forward. So after your meeting, your attorneys on your team stayed on the call, and they prepared a summary list of issues that they identified from the meeting. And within 24 hours, the attorneys will have sent me their completed questionnaires notes in that summary list. I will then review these materials from your attorneys, and I'm going to create a good list of projects or volunteer opportunities. And I've been working with nonprofits for about 30 years. So when I review the notes and the information, I might identify some issues that maybe weren't flagged. Or I might see something that was flagged and be like, I'm not so sure that's an issue. But at the end of the day, I wasn't in the room, so I can make mistakes, and it isn't perfect. So understand that this list is a draft, and you're going to discuss it with your PBPA attorney, and that this is a process and it's not a science. So I say all that to say that ultimately your list that you may receive may be a little different from the conversation that the conversation you have with the attorney suggested. But it also needs your additional input when you talk to the PBPA attorneys to make sure that it's what is accurate and correct and what you feel you really need. So once I finish your list, I'm going to send it to your PBPA attorney. You should already have a call scheduled with your PBPA attorney to go over that list. Your attorney will forward your volunteer opportunities list to you prior to your call. Please take a few minutes to look over that draft vol-ops listing or volunteer opportunities listing before your call. Just review the email. You don't need to respond back to your PBPA attorney with any revisions. Just write them down and then share them with your PBPA attorney on your 1-hour call. Also, the second thing to do is not only look them over to see if they're accurate or if there's something missing or something you want to add, but also think in your head your priorities and consider how busy you are certain months of the year and when you might be able to fit in these different projects. But most importantly, just think through in your head or even write it down on a piece of paper what items you think are a higher priority than others. Your PBPA attorney may have some other thoughts about the action based on legal risk, but it's something that you can start from and talk about during your meeting. So your meeting, as I said, should already be scheduled. Please, please, please be in front of your computer for that meeting and be fully engaged. Don't be driving, don't have other meetings or distractions, and please make sure you have good internet service because there may be some back and forth on this list amongst you during the call or between you during the call. Many of you will have between 6 and 10 legal issues identified. That's kind of the average. Now, one of you may have 4 and one of you may have 15, and there's no right or wrong, and it's not a reflection of your work or your attentiveness to legal issues. Maybe that you have more contracts or more programming and different programming that generates more matters. So also, some of our clients reach out to us more often and more regularly than others. So the number of matters is not a reflection of the work that you're doing. And please don't take it that way. Now, with 6 to 10 matters, it will overwhelm you to do them all at once. So one of the reasons I mentioned prioritizing them is that you'll need to probably only tackle 1 or 2 at a time. And you and your PBPA attorney, when you're on your call, that follow-up call, will first finalize the matters and make sure they're all correct and that you understand what the various projects are. And then you'll prioritize the first 5 matters to get done in about the next 6 months or so, maybe 4 to 6. And you'll do that together. And then after 6 months, your PBPA attorney will reach back out to you again to prioritize the rest of the matters so that they're getting done in a timely fashion, but in a way that works within your schedule and doesn't overwhelm you with too many projects. It usually takes about a year to complete all the projects. That's just what it takes. And understand too that you've been operating with these issues probably for some time. So now that you've identified them, they're going to be a higher priority to you, but you've been operating with them for quite some time. So we'll get to them and we'll get them all done in a manner that makes sense. So your follow-up call with your attorney is only 1 hour. You had a 2-hour attorney team call. So obviously you can't cover everything that was covered in that call with your PBPA attorney. So focus on reviewing and finalizing the list and then prioritizing them. Most of you will probably have a matter that goes out on our next month's listing. Our listing goes out at the beginning of each month, and it often goes out in the middle of the month, but we'll probably prioritize these to go out at the beginning of the next month. If you have any questions about this process at all whatsoever, please reach out to Randy Zeltzer or myself. That's all I need to tell you about the follow-up for the NLA, but I do have one more important thing I need to discuss with you. We would really appreciate it if you didn't ask your volunteers for the nonprofit legal assessment for a donation. And also, please don't ask them to join your board. If a volunteer on their own engages with you and reaches out and says, I want to be more involved, that's great. We support that. But please don't out of the blue ask them. It makes it very uncomfortable for our volunteers, and we want to keep our volunteers volunteering so that they can continue to provide the amazing legal services that they do. If you have any questions about this video, like I said, please contact Randy Zeltzer or myself. Thank you and have a great day.